Hello, welcome back to my channel. Please subscribe to my channel and please like my videos and also watch other videos on my channel. So the last update about Twist of Fate, Rambir and Prachi finally consummate their marriage and Rhea and Sid also consummated their marriage because Rhea's plan backfired. Let's continue. Prachi asks Sid to work properly. Sid says the trolley is heavy. Prachi teases him for having a site somewhere. He says our Manali meeting is cancelled and it is now in Delhi. He says there is a surprise. The project in which you have worked so much, it has gotten approved. Prachi does high five and hugs him. She congratulates him. Prachi asks if Rambir knows about it. Seda says no. Rhea thinks that why is she getting so much happy and get an idea to kick her out from Rambir's life. She thinks this time, you will go out from Rambir's life as Siddharth would help me. Rambir brings the car. They load the stuff in the car decky and sit. Gaurav tells Alia and Tanu that they shall understand his frustration level. He says he has a good plan. Alia asks what is the plan. He says it will be good for us, but bad for Pragya. He says Pragya has locked all my income sources, and this plan is the key to that lock. Tanu asks him to talk in simple language. He says he will target Pragya's pharma company. He will keep illegal stuff in her factory, and then he will burn them. It will be spread in the market that she had kept illegal stuff and then burnt the factory to cover it up. Tanu says she is Pragya. Gaurav says our company will be closed and our company will work and will have profit. He says she would have lost and legal battles. Sushma asks Pragya why she is upset. Pragya says I am upset as something happens always whenever you are not around. You are my life savior and lucky charm too. Sushma says ow and says that she needs to attend the meeting else she wouldn't have gone. She says even I am worried for you since Tanu and Alia came here. They are unpredictable and they can do anything. She says when I thought about Abby, then I thought I shall not worry. Pragya says he doesn't care for me and is hiding something big from me. Sushma says he may have some reasons and asks her not to judge him with his behavior. She says when you went out of the house, he went behind you and brought you home. She says he cares for you so much and he doesn't express it. His support is enough. She asks her not to fight with him. Sushma says okay, when you fight, then end the matter right there. He always tries to support you and he asks her to try to support him as well. Pragya says you are praising him a lot. Sushma says he cares for you a lot. Abby comes to the office to meet Gaurav. The watchman stops him and asks for his name. Abby says Sudar. He calls Gaurav. Gaurav says who is Sudar? I am busy in the meeting. Abby says it is your fault. You should have told Sudar sir. Abby diverts his attention and runs. The watchman runs behind him. Pragya says how will he save himself from Alia? She is his real sister and his enemy. She also does something and then apologizes and he forgives her. She hopes that he sees her truth with his eyes. Alia says Pragya couldn't bear this loss and she would have to struggle to get back to track. He comes to Gaurav's cabin and sees just him. Sushma says I will leave and asks her to take care. Abby asks where is Alia? Gaurav says who is Alia? He says he called her mistakenly. He says she doesn't work with him. Gaurav recalls getting the watchman's call and seeing Abby on the CCTV camera. He informs Alia and Tanu. Alia says how did he know that we are here? He asks them to go through the window. The flashback ends. Abby says she should have called her instead of coming here. He says the hero entry happens in films where he tries to know if the villain affair is with his sister. Abby grabs his collar. Gaurav says villain is hero in films. Abby asks him to stay away from Pragya and Alia. He says we shall know what a hero does with the villain. Do you know what happens if the guitar is held upside back? He threatens him. Gaurav thinks my target is your entire family. Pragya asks Shagun about Abby. Shagun says he went somewhere in a tricycle. Pragya asks where were you? Seeing Alia and Tanu. She says your phone was ringing and asks from where you both are coming from. Tanu asks did we ask you anything? Pragya says this is my house and I have given you permission to stay here and I will ask you. Tanu says this is an insult. Pragya says why are you taking it on your ego and says I don't trust you. She tells Alia that I am letting you stay here even after knowing what you are doing with Gaurav. She says you shall tell me while Gaurav is calling you. Tanu asks Alia to answer her. Pragya asks Tanu to stop. Tanu says I will not give you any answer. Pragya asks her to leave the house. She says if you cannot leave according to my rules, then leave now. Tanu says if you ask me to leave, then I will take Abby with me. Pragya says you don't have any idea what I will do and she challenges her to force her leave without him. Pragya says my house, my rules. Alia says I had went to the dentist. Tanu says Aliyah was feeling scared and that is why I went with her. Sony opens the door and finds Rambir, Prachi, Sidat and Rhea standing. Rambir says we came early. Pallavi asks why did you come so soon? Rhea says that resort was not good. I did not want to stay there. Sidat says we talked to Rambir and he says okay, let's go back together. Rhea says Rageshwari aunt did this for her friend's publicity and you have sent us there for your PR. She says the trip start was bad. She says when we started, the car stops as the petrol was over. Rhea says my mood was upset and then when we reached the resort, more mood spoiled. She says it was not my type of place. Siddharth asks her to see who is standing. He says I like the place. Rhea says I should have stayed back and made some memories. She goes. Prachi asks Pallavi not to feel bad about Rhea. She says it was not bad and we enjoyed. Pallavi says when did Rhea say this? You are calling her bad. Siddharth says she is defending her sister. Pallavi says you are defending her. Rambir says we missed you and tells her about the flower there. He says we would have something special together. Gaurav calls Pragya and asks his driver to drive safely. Pragya says you don't have courage to talk to me directly. He says that her husband came to the office for spy and to show his hirogiri. Pragya says he has only threatened you and he says he breaks such people's mouths. He says I have left him. Pragya says you shall talk to him with respect. He had left you and is like a god to you. Gaurav asks what will you do if anything bad happens to either with one of you. Pragya says your condition will be very bad and asks him not to call her and says that she doesn't need to ask him where her husband goes. Gaurav thinks that one tongue works fast and the other one's hand works fast. He thinks to give them an answer. Prachi comes to the room wearing the night suit. Rambir rolls down the bed and gets up and asks what is the need to wear the nice clothes when she is so beautiful. She says she is wearing a night suit. Rambir says I cannot stop myself and says something is wrong. Prachi says you like this cutter. Rambir says I am noticing that you are wearing dresses of my choice. Prachi says I thought you get angry when I am busy in work. Then you will not let me work and that is why I shall smile and then you will like it. Rambir says we will go on a lunch together. He says we will go on a long drive and then we will go to the restaurant. Prachi says we will go some other time and says she is busy. He says again you are busy and says that they shall go to Manali again and have their honeymoon again. She sleeps and he holds her hand. Prachi asks who made this water fall down. Rambir says sorry. Prachi says he always does this. Rambir asks her to twist his ears. Prachi asks him to be quiet and says I am very angry. Rambir says you look good when angry. Prachi says if you had fallen down. He says if you stay angry with me, then I will kiss you. Prachi says then I will not get angry on you. He says let's try it. If you will not get angry and says he will spill water on the floor. Prachi says she will not get angry. He says if the water falls down on the bedsheet. Prachi says I will not get angry. Rambir says life's ass problem will be solved and says if she knows what he will do if she get angry. Abby got home. Pragya asks where did you go? Abby asks her to go out and sit in the watchman's office. She says why you did not tell me that you went to Gaurav's office. He asks if she was spying on him. Pragya says I don't need to spy on you and says that Gaurav called and threatened her. Abby says I will break his legs. Pragya says he is a goon and you will not do anything. Abby says I will break his face. Pragya says why did you go there? Abby says there was missed calls on Aliyah's phone and Gaurav was calling to know where did she reach. He says he was worried for Aliyah and that is why he went there. Pragya says Aliyah is not a small girl and she can take care of herself. Abby says I was worried for you too and says that I don't want Aliyah to do any foolishness again and I don't want anyone to suffer losses. Pragya says you can have loss and says wrong thing happened with good people and says why are you so good? She says she knows well how Aliyah is and whatever she has done. Abby says everyone has done mistakes in the past, you and me too. He says our relationship is such due to the past and says we have relationship but doesn't have emotions. He says if Aliyah had not done any mistake, then I would have loved her so much. He says see our relationship. It is so changed that we don't know what we are doing and what we are saying. Abby says there is so much changes and says I am saying a lot. This is the problem. When I don't drink, I get emotional and sensible. He says when I drink wine, then you leave the house. He says I thought to go to my peace. She thinks he did not drink even today for me and she smiles. Rhea comes to the room and sees Siddharth on the bed smiling at her. She takes her pillow and she's about to go. Siddharth asks what happened. She says she will sleep outside. He says, I think you irritate me intentionally and you like it. Rhea asks, are you out of your mind? I do this to irritate you. He says yes. Rhea asks him to tell her what type of girl she is. He says you started fighting. Rhea asks, what wrong did I do? Siddharth says you are going out of the room and doing wrong. Rhea says it is not necessary that I sleep with you daily. Siddharth says I will stop you as you are doing wrong. Rhea argues with him. Siddharth says it is a waste to talk to you. He goes. Rhea gets happy and says good job. She sleeps alone on the bed. Pragya gets a call from Subhash. He says he needs permission for her office renovation. He asks her to inform him and says if she doesn't tell, that the work will be delayed. Abby tells Pragya that he will go to the office and see. Pragya tells Subhash that her husband will come and see the work. She ends the call and asks Abby if he got peace. He asks her to sleep on the bed. Abby gets happy and goes to the bed. Pragya also comes to the bed. He asks if she will sleep with him. Pragya says I will sleep on my bed. She keeps the pillows and says this is the border. He says if anyone crosses the line at night. Pragya says if he is so scared, then he should sleep on the sofa. He says it is okay. They lie down on the bed and look at each other. A song plays in the background and they look at each other while sleeping. In the morning, Siddharth asks the servants not to serve well. Prachi asks him to eat well. Rambir asks him to eat well too. Prachi asks Siddharth to have food properly and says he will have junk in the office. She tells Rhea that she doesn't know him. He eats much when stressed. Rambir tells Rhea that Prachi knows Siddharth well. Siddharth says he used to go to their rented house. Prachi says Siddharth was my Sasura. Siddharth says when I came to know about her skills and I offered her job. Rambir says Prachi and Siddharth were always together and I used to get mad at him. Siddharth says he wanted me to marry and pushed me out many times. Rambir says of course. Rhea hears them. She thinks to go to the office today. Mitali asks Aliyah if she made tasty breakfast that Abby and Nav finished it fully. Aliyah gets Gaurav's call and disconnects it. Abby comes to Pragya and asks her to work fast. Pragya asks, did you have breakfast? Abby says yes. Sister-in-law made a nice food. He asks why she is working slow. She says I am wearing heels and cause shagun. Abby says how good are you looking? Why haven't you worn it before? He says we will get late and asks her to come. Pragya asks him to go alone and says that she has to meet the lawyer and then a big singer. Mitali asks Pragya to take her along. Pragya says I will take you along later. Aliyah hears him. Gaurav calls again and thinks that I am not her boyfriend to call her again and again. It is an important call. Thank you for watching my videos. Please don't forget to like my video, share it, and please subscribe to my channel for more updates. Thank you.